Welcome along, everyone. What a memorable night for water polo in Australia for the men's program. Noel and Deb, 8-3 victory over Serbia. I'm pinching myself. The boys played out of their skin.
Just amazing. As I said earlier to Deb, that night in Sydney, the gold medal was the greatest event ever in Australian water polo history. But tonight, maybe the greatest men's result ever. There's old blokes all around the country crying at the moment. They're so proud. I don't ever remember even leading them 6-0 in a practice game. Like, I just can't believe this. Olympic Games is just about time. Fantastic. You know, Timmy, Nathan, Blake and the boys, they made the country very proud. They should be so happy, and I'm sure they are. Wow. Just amazing.
That's pretty much what it was, wasn't it, really? Just a massive wow from the very first moment of the game. Nathan smashing the swim up. I'm thinking, wow, Nathan off. Yeah, they're just dominant. Their defence was incredible. Just their desperation in defence with the 50-50 balls. We got them pretty much all of them. Just never say die. And our outside shooting was just outstanding today as well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The extra person was unbelievable, and the defence was great. And what about our goalkeeper? Really?
75% Nick Porter.
Picked the right night for a gun game.
He did indeed. And Mandich, only 33%, only got a couple of shots away. So the boys who were tagging up on him throughout the game, on Mandich, did a terrific job.
Absolutely. And that could have been a game they wanted to just play and target other games to get through, and they didn't. They went after the best team in the world. It's fantastic. Like, what can you say?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Daniel Ricciardo win. I never thought I'd ever say that.
Well, you might have to do a shoey tonight, Noel.
The whole team should do one.
Yeah, no, it was pretty. It was remarkable. And I read an article today too from some Serbia post, and it was just saying that Australia always give the Serbians a difficult game at Olympic Games, and that they'd really have to be on the ball, and they were aware. They were focused on that. So to come away with that victory is amazing. I've got to say though, at halftime, I actually was even more nervous than before the game because doing commentary at Olympic Games, I've seen us in positions not quite that pretty against some of the top teams, maybe up with a couple of by a couple of goals with a quarter to go or at halftime, and then the feel of the game changes, the refereeing seems to change, and we come away with not the points. So honestly, it was very difficult for me to watch that rest of the game. I was doing one of those emoji looks. I didn't want to look away, but I couldn't really quite look. I was just so excited for them, and it was an incredible victory.
It was amazing because Renee Bob was texting each other during the game. He's watching as well. At 3/4 time, I said to him, "What do you reckon?" He said, "I don't think we can lose from here, even with crook refs. So who cares?" They weren't crook refs.
No, they weren't.
Things, of course, but things change.
No, it was Andrei Franjulovic from Croatia and Zhang Liang from China, and the two referees did a terrific job. It just seemed to be consistent all the way through. And what I was going to say a moment ago is when you look back to history, 2012, when Foxy was coaching, we had Serbia on the ropes in the quarterfinal, and then it just changed and we lost. 16, in the pool stages, we're fighting for our life to get out of the group phase. So is Serbia. The winner's going to go through, the loser's out for the tournament. Serbia beats us by, I think, 1 or 2 goals. They go on and win the gold medal. So, it's our turn. It's our turn to get one back.
Absolutely. And the time we played in the quarterfinal, the world champs, and we got a brutality call late in the game, and we lost the game when we were winning. I forget which year that was, but it's.
Yes, that's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, we've always been a rugby team, but we never win. Today we did.
Well, while we're talking on that phase, Lockie Edwards back with his head into the Serbian player. Serbian players certainly played right up to the referees and to the crowd to say, "Oh, he really got me, and they had a good look at it. And I've seen quick replays of it. Yes, he did get him, I guess, and you do that and you're going to get the red card, aren't you?
It was a good call, in my opinion. Lockie won't like that, neither will his dad, but I think it was a good call, but only if they do that every time. They have to do that every game, every time, and to stop it. It can't be just a one-off situation like that. But you think of that, and then Nathan, and they still won. Like, it's just How does that happen? It's amazing.
They just
I think
look
Nathan
really. They look.
got a red card, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a red card for a little bit of a back chat towards the end. Didn't need to do it.
Yeah, but you think those two players out of the game, losing a main centre forward, you're playing the best team in the world. When I wake up, I'm going to watch the replay in case it's a bit great.
Deb, we played with 12 against Spain. Didn't have Luke Pavillard. He's back tonight. What about the way he played?
Unbelievable. His shooting was just incredible. And then, sometimes it's contagious when you're not shooting well, but I felt like tonight it was contagious and all of the players just shot the skin off the ball. It was absolutely incredible. But, for sure, defence wins the game for Australia today. Their zone defence was really tight. There was desperation. There was pressure when there needed to be. They were helping each other. Communication was really good. Their blocking, how many balls went into, they've got their big paws out there for their arms and their blocks, and that was in their general and their extra man defence. And yeah, it was just that desperation was brilliant tonight.
And Porter, I think, playing in Spain for Barcelona, he's picked up a bit of Jesus Royan, hasn't he? When the old Spanish keeper from a few generations ago saves the ball, big fist pump up, he's giving it, and then he's passing the ball down the pool. He was having a great time, massive smile on his face. What a night he had.
You've got to be brave when you're playing Serbia. The goalkeeper, you're bagging them because they can't score, and you're saving it. You've got to be brave. That's pretty tough. Got him. Amazing. Well, amazing.
And we all agree that's it's one of the great victories in the men's program to knock over Serbia. I mean, it is only group phase, and we've got to get out of the group. We've got to win a couple of other games to guarantee a path through after losing to Spain on the opening night. So nothing's guaranteed. Nothing says we're going to make a quarterfinal, but that's just such a great confidence boost for the boys, for Timmy Hamill, for all the coaching staff, Nitties, everyone involved. They've got the guys prepared right up, and they just did it on the day. They just did it so well.
You know the best part? We looked the better team, and we were. It's not like this was a fluke or referees. We were the better team. We beat them and beat them well, and that's pretty amazing. They got good confidence now. Let's see what happens. It's a long way to go, but let's see what happens. I was watching at the end of the game. They were happy, but they weren't over silly. They were still, focused on the job. So that's really good.
Yeah, I think what's really... Oh, sorry, Westie, I was just going to say, I think what's really important for the boys to get out of this is they'll obviously watch the video or watch the highlights of it, but they've got to work out what it was that they did so well. And I don't know what their tactics were, but they were so structured, and they looked like they really defensively, again, they were on song, and that's what's going to win them more matches. So to have an extra belief in their defense and know that they're capable of stopping a team like Serbia, and just the stats were just ridiculous with, the Serbian shooting stats. I think that will never happen again. But, the belief that they get out of it, and it's those processes that worked is what they've now got to focus on for the rest of the tournament, and just keep building on that.
I suspect what I'm about to say, you'll never hear again in the world, in history, you never heard before. Serbia scored 1 goal in 3 quarters.
Mm.
No. If you told me that without watching the game, I wouldn't believe you.
It's just not possible.
Wasn't halftime the stats? They were none from 10 from the field and none from 6 from extra man. That's just outrageous.
Yeah, it is.
And that, again, as you said, credit to the Aussie defence, who were just desperate, and they were getting blocks up, and Porter made some unbelievable saves, and the boys just, it was like they just built a brick wall across the cage and just said, not tonight.
And Deb made a good point earlier about, the players are the ones who win. They always are. They're the Olympians, etc. Those coaches did their work. They did, and they deserve a lot of credit for tonight. They did their work, and they did it very well, and they knew what to do, and the players executed the plans. But Timmy, Mitzi, all of them, they silent, quiet achievers in the background. They did a great job tonight.
So 2 days' time, France is our opponent. That's at 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 1st of August, 11 p.m. France are going to play, they're a good side. Their men are a good team, and they're going to play with a lot of emotion. And when you look at what their women did last night, knocking over Italy in front of a very partisan crowd, we know what it's like, Noel. Rio, Brazil got us in the opening game in front of a massive Brazilian crowd. It's worth a couple of goals. The French crowd is worth at least a couple of goals. The boys are going to have to turn up and do it all again.
It's amazing. I mean, the French beat Fiji in the men's sevens, just, hometown advantage.
Yeah.
The French are passionate. La Bleu, they play the Marseille. That's it. They're back in World War II sort of thing, attitude. They're just like, they just don't know how to give up. They love their country and they're proud and they're tough at home. They always are in every sport. And this is going to be a tough game. But the boys got nothing to lose. France got everything to lose.
Deb, you played in front of a home crowd in Sydney when your wonderful team won the gold medal, first women's water polo games at the Olympics. What was the crowd like for you?
Oh, the crowd were amazing, but we were very lucky. We only had paper newspapers back in those days. We couldn't be flicking through the phone looking at all the articles, saying, "Oh, we think they're going to win" or any of that sort of stuff. So for us, we just didn't feel like we had that home pressure, which obviously the French men's team is going to be under immense pressure. But yeah, it was a great ride for us. And could I remember the crowd? Not really during the game, but I certainly heard them afterwards.
They lifted the roof off when the goal went in with 1.3 seconds to go. Tell a little story, and I've told it before. I was down on the pool deck. Unbelievable. I felt myself move forward from the rush of air from the people cheering behind me. There was like 17,000 people behind me. And I went forward in the chair, went, wow, it's like an out-of-body experience. And then the radio was going crazy. 120,000 people next door in the athletic stadium. And they're all the officials are radioing going, what's going on at the pool? We can hear it. It sounds like the roof's coming off the place. It was the greatest sporting moment of my life. I'm sure it was for you too, Deb.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was sitting 2 rows back from behind your bench, Deb, because Paul Oakman helped me sneak in down there. We were sitting together. When your goal was scored, he's going, what do you reckon? I said, no, it's a goal. It's a legitimate goal. Forget what the Americans, And the crowd's going, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But I would say it's the greatest sporting moment I've ever seen in my life when they blew that final whistle. That was just, and the crowd. That's the national anthem. That's pretty special. We owe all you people for that. It's really good. We came of age that night. We did.
Yeah, well, I think I'm not so sure that the French will get the same sort of push along from their crowd, only because I feel like, I watched the French game last night and, in the crowd, they're geeing the crowd up because the French, maybe general public, haven't seen a lot of water polo, right? So, there'll be lots of cheering, but it might come at weird times. So if you steal the ball and there's a cheer and it's like, oh, I'll take that. And, you can make it your own little sort of cheer crowd out there, I suppose. The boys will be fine. They'll just block it out and away they'll go.
Especially if they can get out to a couple of goal lead, that'll shut the crowd up. And, and you know what it's like. When you're water, you can't hear them anyway. No. So it's a game. So.
No.
It's going to be a big game. We win that, we're pretty much quarterfinals bound. So
it'd be magnificent. Like that, they've been really tough on the Aussies in Rio and in Japan not to get out of the group phase. They really did it tough, and I think it'd be fantastic to see them go through. One more win, maybe 2 more wins, and they're booking a spot in the quarters.
2 will be safe. 1 will still be 50-50, but it's a big win again. So and a big difference too. It's great for the goal difference.
So Noel, let's talk now about Nick Hodgers. He reffed his first game last night. He did the France-Italy game, the 1-goal win to France, and that's his first Olympic Games as a whistling. And I sent him a little note, and I know a lot of people have, and say, you're now a fully certified Olympic referee. He did shot clock, and then he did VAR, and now he's got the whistle in his mouth, and he's blowing. And he's on tonight, USA, Romania, later in the program.
He is, and I hope he calms down because I've spoken to him today via text. And tonight I said, good luck tonight. He said, thank you. And then I went, greatest moment in men's Australian water polo history, magnificent. He said, sure is, really excited. So I hope he comes down for his game. Because they can knock you around as a referee when your team is done something. Who cares? Yeah.
What's it like? Go on.
No, you please.
I was going to say, what's it like picking up the whistle for the first time at Olympic Games?
So for me, it was interesting. As you know, you're in Athens as well. And I was supposed to referee on the second day and I was taken off because the Australian team had won or lost. I forget which one. And then I was going to referee on the 4th day or the 3rd day, and they moved me again because the Australian team had won or lost. And as you know, they're very strict about neutrality working 2 or 3 games out. And then Lonzy came up to me and said to me, "You'll be refereeing tomorrow." I said, "Thanks." I said, "You got an easy game." I said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, "Canada, USA women." I went, "Thanks for that. It's an easy game for sure."
Well, there you are, Noel, on the deck. Canada, USA women.
Gee, my hair was a bit dark and it was a bit fatter then, actually. So that's a good thing. Yeah, it was pretty. It's an interesting way of doing things. I'm a little bit different to some. Some will sit there and read rule books and prepare and things like that. Whereas, as you know, I like to turn up 2 minutes before the game and just referee and do it naturally. But you're not allowed to do that. So Lonzy let me turn up 2 hours before the game and wander off and come back half an hour before. So he let me do that. And I think I feel if you overthink it as a referee, you won't get it right. You've got to just turn up. If you're not good enough, they wouldn't give you the game. If you don't know the rules, you wouldn't be there. So just turn up and try and be consistent and be yourself and let it play. Don't think about, if this happens, because you don't know if it's going to happen or not. And I was lucky. My mate, Nick Hodgers, who was Greek, home Olympics, we refereed together. So that was very helpful. Tom Hode and John Whitehouse gave me a lot of confidence before the game. But I didn't quite expect what would happen. So the game was going pretty well. And then USA was winning 5-2 at 3/4 time. But Canada won 6-5. So as a referee, whoa. The guy Baker came up to me and said to me afterwards, "I wish you weren't refereeing." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because you were fair. Thanks." Walked away.
Greatest compliment from a coach, isn't it? Greatest compliment.
Yeah, it really was a really lovely thing for him to say. He knew it was my first game as well. And they still qualified. Canada would have been out if they lost. So it was a crunch game. Really was important. But
USA got us in the bronze medal game in Athens.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they played very well. Yeah. And it was great. I got some other games, got the 5th, 6th game and things like that. So it was really good. But your first game, I can only assume it's not the same as being a player. It never will be. But I imagine Deb's first game at the Olympics would have been pretty special. You don't forget it. Referees don't forget theirs either. So it was good. Nick's experienced, so that's important. I think when you're young, it's very tough to stand up in front of 20, 30,000 people you know. They say they only have 2 delegates, but they have 6 or 7 people watching you. They video you. They speak to you after the game. They go through every decision they think's wrong. Pressure's enormous, absolutely enormous. And so it should be. It is on the players and the athletes as well in the countries. It is, and he did pretty well from what I've seen and what I've heard. So good on him. But all those years of doing under 16s and under 14s and doing those little games in front of your friends and your family, they're the ones that make it for you, because that's where you learn. That's where you really get your time. Refereeing in front of friends, and again, friends in the water is harder than the Olympics, in my opinion. So that's important. Yeah.
What I said to Nick before he left, I said, he was a little bit stunned he got selected. And I said, mate, you didn't get there by accident. You deserve to be there.
Yeah. And when I used to run the national leagues and that point referees, they'd say to me, "I'm a bit nervous, and if I didn't think you're good enough, you wouldn't be on the game. Don't worry about it. Just go and do it." That's right. They won't give you the game. There's many referees that go there and just goal judge. They don't think you're up to it. They won't give it to you. So you've got to be confident in their judgment. Yeah. He must be so proud now. So, he's joined a pretty small club of Australian Olympic referees, actually.
Well, it goes back to John Whitehouse. I did the final, didn't he, way back in Seoul?
Yeah. So there's John Whitehouse, Peter Kerr, and then Phil Bauer, myself, Michael Hart, Nicola, Danny, and Nick. So there's 8 of us. So, yeah.
That's a good group.
Well, Curro and Whitey hogged it for years, so, it's hard to get through.
One of the things a little bit different, 2 points I want to get to. One is the in-ear communication. We'll get to that in a second. But before that, the delegates now are doing shot clock. The delegates are working on the table as timekeepers, something I've never seen at international level before in the past.
But I'd argue that the second most important person after referees is the shot clock. When it's restarted, when it stops, when it goes, it's critical to teams. It's actually really critical. It's more important than VAR and things like that. So I think that's good. You need people who know the game and be careful, because split seconds make a difference. They really do. Shot clock's critical.
So They had the moment in the Spanish game we spoke about the other day where the clock went to 30, then went to 20. I actually made some inquiries. It's the Amiga timing system. In Australia, most of the clocks that people will be familiar with have a 20-second and a 30-second button. On the Amiga system, it's like you hold it in your hand like you would a can or a glass or something. And with your thumb, it's 2 presses for 20 and 1 press for 30. And then there's a trigger on the front with your index finger. And then you stop and starting the clock. So it's all one-handed. And if you hit the 2 buttons, sometimes it doesn't quite come to 20 straight away. So it's a bit of pressure on there.
I used to say that we'll land on Mars before we get a clock system that works properly all the time. I'm still on target. Come on, Elon Musk. But it's water, electricity. So many things happen. People don't appreciate it. You know, you get parents who come down and do scorecards and they watch and they're like, wow, look what happens all the time. It's much more difficult than you think. So, yeah. And shot clock's critical.
Hey, Deb, I had you on the table. Were you doing clock or card when your young fellow was playing? I was refereeing. That was very interesting. You're going, I've never done. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on there.
It was way too much pressure for me. There's 1,000 other jobs I would rather do. I've done it. I put my hand up very quickly for the door on the Sunday that's just gone. There were 2 choices, either the table or the door, and my hand was up for the door immediately. So, yeah, I find it just too much pressure for me. And also, too, I get sucked into watching the game, and then I'm get myself in trouble. So it's a lot of pressure, very thankless task. And I'm glad I don't do it too often.
No, Deb said to me at the end, she goes, that's more pressure than playing an Olympic gold medal final.
It was terrible. It was awful. Luckily, I'm anonymous, right? Because I'm watching under 16s. And so often the people on the table, I'm just a parent there as well and their parents. So, you know, it's quite funny. I can just sit there and go, God, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, which is the absolute truth, but I get away with it.
I can just see a parent look at you going, so Deb, have you been in water polo long?
I've had that a few times, actually.
It's a nice thing, actually.
It's cute, and I'm not going to say anything. It's nice to be like that. Oh, it's Cosmo.
Yeah. He wanted to say hello.
Mate, no pets on the ship, please.
And so, Noel, you're off on Sunday to Paris, and you've got a host of really good sporting events to go and watch, including the men's semi and bronze and gold medal for the water polo, hiking, canoeing, all sorts of things.
Yeah, and as you know, Alex, my son lives there, so I'm going to catch up with him. But I've got tickets to the canoe cross with both Jesse and Naomi Fox. And as you know, I was Sydney Olympics high performance manager for canoeing, so I know them very, very well. And they're racing that day. Second day, volleyball at the Eiffel Tower, quarterfinal from men and women.
You're killing me.
Third day, women's semi-final at hockey. Fourth day, men's bronze medal at hockey, waitlisted for gold. And then Hardy's got us. I'm meeting Michael Hart, and we've got tickets to this men's semi-final water polo. We couldn't get women's games; they're sold out. Yeah. Then I got canoe, flat water sprint, which is what I used to be high performance manager for as well. And then on the last day, bronze, and I think we got gold as well, men's water polo, and I fly home that night. So not many big things there, but you know.
That's amazing.
Everybody out there watching now doesn't like you very much anymore, Noel.
I'm a referee, mate. I've been told I don't have a mother or father in 50 languages, and that's the nice thing they say. So, and let me tell you something you might not know. The hockey field was the athletics tracks for 1912. It's been converted to hockey. It's the one that they actually filmed Chariots of Fire on.
Oh, is that right?
True. Yeah, it's a true story.
Wow.
I found that out 2 days ago. Yeah.
Wow, that's special. Incredible. There's some pretty amazing things happening. I just saw that possibly if there's the triathlon might become a biathlon, and they're seriously talking about it because the water's so dirty. Yeah.
They called it off tonight. They deferred it to tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how, but hopefully it is clean overnight. They've not managed to do it yet, so yeah, quite. Imagine that. It'd be so disappointing as an athlete.
One of my friends today said to me, "So equestrians at the Palace of Versailles?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "On the grass?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You heard of the French Revolution? They don't think much of their kings and queens, don't you? So they don't care. It's in the palace. Like, amazing. So they're lucky in those people."
Oh, it's incredible.
And Noel, you started your little Olympic sojourn a little while ago. You were on holidays in Tahiti, and you got a boat and went out to Chaupu and watched the Olympic test event.
I feel
for surfing?
Exceptionally privileged. What happened? We were on a cycling cruise. That'll shock you, but where the cruise, I won't go into too much. But basically, we went to a different island overnight and cycled that cruise. But Benoit, the guy who's the head of their cycling over there, was also on the organising committee. So on the last day, 40 of us were allowed to get on a bus and be guinea pigs for the way they were going to do their tourists in and out for the day. And the World Surfing League finals were on there at that time. So all the pros were there. So we got driven down, taken out in a boat next to the wave, which is almost impossible to do because you can't see the wave from the shore. It's right out on the reef. And so we're in the boats watching them surf up and down and so forth like that. And I don't know how to describe that experience. That's just a fluke. Didn't find out till we got to Tahiti. And yeah, it was amazing experience. And I'll be watching the surfing. And yesterday they stopped the women's sessions after the men barely finished because the waves are too big.
It's a bit crazy,
So, yeah,
actually.
it's incredible.
No, I'm not being too critical of the surfing because, it's obviously a great sport. But you think about it's just plain dangerous. You've got these amateur athletes that just are not on the world tour surfing the most dangerous break potentially in the world. It just seems a bit crazy to me.
You've got 5 to 6 people a year die on the reef. It can be a bigger wave than Pipeline at times. So what happens is and I'll do a visual here, the reef is like this, comes around, it's further out. The wave comes down the middle, and it's a perfect pipe. It's the most perfect wave in the world, which is why they're there. But the pros are there, Debbie. They are. It's not.
The pros are, but then you've got countries from minnow-style nations. I actually saw one of the girls' heats the other day, and I thought that girl. I felt so sorry for her, and I thought she could not try any harder to not catch a wave. Like it would have been terrifying for them. It was actually a bit concerning. Well, obviously, they're at the pointy end of the competition now, so the pros are all there. But certainly in that early days, it was a bit heartbreaking watching, be demoralising for them.
I can tell you
the way technology's.
Yep, go on.
I was going to say the way technology's going. I wonder how long till we have Olympic surfing in one of the surf parks where they generate the waves.
It'd take a lot for the surfers to agree with that, I reckon. But I can tell you, I've swum all my life. I surf. I still paddle my surf ski. Sitting on that boat with some other people in that boat, they said to me, those waves are pretty big. I said, I wouldn't get in there.
Yeah.
In a million years, I wouldn't get in there. That is really, it's quite dangerous. And you can see, so on the edge of the wave where the boats are, you can see them on the TV. You can see the reef below. You can see it.
Frightening.
So it's pretty
frightening.
And
frightening.
You get the wave wrong, you're in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. So yeah, they're very brave people, especially the ones who aren't pros. Very brave. And let's hope nothing goes wrong. So
let's get back to water polo.
Oh yeah.
Let me finish this before I do. I'm sorry, I'll be very quick. The local village didn't want the Olympics.
Yeah.
They live in their own style. So all the houses that have been built are portable and they're all going afterwards. And the locals, we met the mayor when we were there and said, oh, no, afterwards people won't come back. I think she's got a shot coming, but anyway. There's no hotels or anything down where the wave is. They live traditional style. Yeah, so, anyway, please.
So, Deb, tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, Netherlands v Australia women. Our girls had the day off. They had the bye round early in their draw because of the 5 teams in each group. So I think, as we spoke the other day, it's a good one for them to have that rest after the COVID, the lead in, the tight win over China. They'll be so much fresher and better and ready to go. Netherlands, tough task. You played against them many times in your career. They were always one of the benchmark teams.
Oh, always. And, they're such fierce competitors. We had a little training camp against them just before the girls went into the village as well. So, they'd be quite familiar. I think it's a really important game for us. We want to finish up the top end of the pool because the crossovers, otherwise could be, pretty nasty on
Spain,
paper.
USA.
Quite possibly. So, look, I think they're in with a mighty chance. I think they need to start well. And I just think they need to, which they did the other night as well, but just to maintain their level of intensity for the full 4 periods. Because if they do, if we can do that, we need to shoot well. We need to obviously defend well as well. Great communication. I definitely think we're in with a good chance to win the game, though.
And Spain knocked over the USA in the women, so that means you might end up with a Spain won USA 2 or the other way around. You never know what happens with the rest of it. But, there's no easy crossovers in the other pool. Any of the 8 teams that go through in the women can win.
Well, if you look at the women's side, you've got France obviously are in with a chance now as well, and you've got Greece and Italy. So what's the makeup going to be? You just don't know. Just none of the games are going to be easy. You've just got to get yourselves into that quarterfinal, and you've only got to win a couple more games after that. But it's the build, but you've got to be performing pretty much from now as well.
And that France-Italy game was pretty amazing. Quite surprised me, but it also shows you how well Nick refereed, because that was an upset, and he's got a game tonight.
It means they like what he did.
Yep. If you're in an upset game and you make a mistake, you don't get a game the next day. That's for sure. So he's done well. So it's a good thing for him.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say the French shooting was incredible, and the French goalkeeper was magnificent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you're right. You don't want to finish 3rd or 4th. USA are bruised. You don't want to go anywhere near them at the moment to the final.
That French, as you said, the French goalkeeper was amazing. It wasn't Ashley Johnson in a beret, was it?
No. The USA, I think, they've got some things happening outside of the pool as well at the minute, which obviously, can have a big effect on the whole team, but they will rally, and, I have no doubt that they're going to be, figuring those medal matches for sure. It's going to make stick together even more and fight even harder if that's possible.
Yeah, I think you're alluding to Maggie Steffen's sister-in-law who passed away in France from medical. I don't know the details, but I'm sure on behalf of all water polo Australian fans and Australians that our love and support goes out to Maggie and the team and through pretty tough times.
Yeah, very much. It's a very sad thing. It's like when Adam lost his family before the Olympics as well. It's sometimes it rallies you as well. Everybody pulls tighter together, but it's a tough thing. In the end, it's a game. That's life.
Yeah.
So it's really sad thing for them to happen. So I still would be a brave person to tip against America winning their 4th gold medal, but it's a brave person.
Yeah. They can lose a game occasionally. You just poke the bear. Don't do it.
Oh, it's the worst thing for them to lose in the rounds. At least they lost to a top team.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. It's just, you don't want them to lose a game to the final. It's your best chance. I think anyway.
No, I think you're right too, Noel. Even like going back to our game against the Netherlands, like we often would always play them twice in a tournament, and without a doubt, if whoever won the first game lost the second game. So not that you ever thought, oh, we're probably better off to lose this round game. Like that just never happened. But it was very rare to beat them twice in the same tournament, and the USA are definitely going to be, in that situation. For them to lose twice in a tournament is going to be. It's not impossible though, because I think there is probably 4 teams that could beat them on the day, but the US are going to have to be slightly off, and the other opposition is going to have to be 100% on to beat them.
So your team with you as captain, Deb, beat the Netherlands in 1995 at the World Cup, and that started that wonderful run into Sydney and a lot of support for water polo, and obviously, we all know what happened in Sydney and the great legacy that's created.
Yeah, there's a few of the Dutchies that'll be remembering all those sorts of things. So it's going to be a super tight game, I imagine. And I think that the shooting obviously is really critical for us because, we've got the centre forwards that are going to draw the defenders, but our outside shooters have to be on song early to then draw that defence out to them or bring the defence out so then the ball can go into the centre forward and Tilly can weave her magic, and also Danny as well. But yeah, it's really important our outside shooters are on.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we might wrap it up at that, unless you got something to add, Noel.
No, I was going to say they're a good chance, and especially after tonight. There's been some highlights in my life: watching Deb win the gold medal, watching us win the America's Cup, watching Alex win premierships. That's my kid. Tonight as well, so nothing is impossible.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me on, and enjoy the rest of the time. And you want to give us a call while we're over there? Hardy and myself will be happy to.
We'll have to check the time.